Hi, everybody that's joining. Nice to see you all this afternoon. We'll start in probably, I don't know, a couple of minutes. We'll just let everybody else join. There's quite a lot of people still joining, and so we'll get cracking. We'll probably wait a minute or so. Just whilst we're waiting, I'll quickly introduce Jessica Nash, who's our head of marketing. And she'll be fielding or gathering the questions. We've got a Q&A session at the end. I'm going to leave some time to run through some questions. Some of you kindly sent in questions beforehand, and so Jess has got those ready. And then if there's any questions during the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A function in the chat, or sorry, in the Q&A. You should have a Q&A button that you can put questions in, and we'll gather all those up and go through them at the end. So I look forward to hopefully nothing too horrifically difficult for me, but no, feel free to ask anything that comes up during the webinar. So we should, yeah, we've got quite a few people joined, which is nice, and this is an exclusive webinar for Unleashed customers, so you'll all have that in common, that you use Unleashed currently, and hopefully what we're going to show you, you'll see goes together with your Unleashed system really well. So I think probably we'll get cracking, and if there's any late joiners, then they'll miss a tiny bit, but all of you will receive a link to the recording of this webinar at the end of it. And if you registered any colleagues who weren't able to attend, they will also receive an email if they're registered with a link to the recording. But you obviously feel free to pass that on to any colleagues if you think that that's been useful. I see we've got a question in already. I'll if I don't cover that as we go through, then we'll definitely answer that at the end for you, Catherine. Yeah. So yeah, no problem at all with that. Thank you. So I should introduce myself. I'm going to turn my camera off just because if you pass this recording on, you don't want my ugly mug in the corner of the recording the whole time. But my name's Stuart McLaren. I've been with Prospect Soft for 23 years and was sort of instrumental in our acquisition by the Access company. And so we are, like Unleashed, now owned by the Access Group in the UK. They're actually the largest privately owned software company in the UK now. And we were already working very closely with Unleashed for several years, and we share literally hundreds and hundreds of customers with Unleashed. And so it made really good sense for us to join the same group and work even closer with Unleashed. And there's been several things we've been able to do now that we wouldn't have been able to do when we weren't part of the same company. So yeah, it's enabled us to work really much closer with Unleashed, and hopefully you'll see all of that today. But that, I guess, is one of the reasons, but I suppose the question is, why is Prospect CRM so perfect for Unleashed customers? And it really is a focus of ours to be the perfect CRM system for you guys, for Unleashed customers. And I guess, you know, what we focus on is trying to create real sales growth for you. Obviously, a CRM system predominantly is aimed at the marketing and sales departments of a business. Also, in our case, somewhat into the after sales as well, with a bit of service ticketing. But today we'll mostly be focusing, I will show you some of the service ticketing, but we'll mostly be focusing on the marketing and sales functionality of our system and how it can help you with your sales growth. And you'll see there's on our website, and actually on the Unleashed website as well, there's lots of joint case studies of customers that use Unleashed and Prospect CRM. Some of them have experienced massive growth since they put Prospect in. We had a lady in Australia saying that it was life-changing for her once she found the Prospect CRM system. I can't promise it will be life-changing for all of you, but certainly my aim at the end of today is for you to think, well, you know, we definitely should have a look at Prospect CRM much closer because of how well it knits in with Unleashed and the things that we can achieve. So yeah, there's James Turton, but as I say, there's lots of things on our website and the Unleashed website. It's worth mentioning that this we brand ourselves as the Stock-Aware CRM, and that's quite an important differentiator from other CRMs that you might have seen or maybe even use currently. And you can see that in terms of Stock-Aware, you know, we've been voted very highly in terms of all the review sites, you know, and again, there's hundreds and hundreds of reviews there. And we've won an awful lot of awards, you know, most implementable this year. Users love us, highest user adoption. And so, you know, we've tried to build a really functional but intuitive to use CRM system specifically for customers that sell physical products and have a large business to business element in their sales, which kind of is Unleashed customers really. And so I mentioned there's lots of other CRM systems. How do we compare in the marketplace? And the differentiator really is the niche that we've chosen to operate in, which is our CRM is built for product businesses. There are lots of other CRM systems, you know, some of the famous ones here, Salesforce that most people would know, Pipedrive, perhaps HubSpot, perhaps as a marketing system. You could really, you know, substitute any other CRM systems for those three in this grid. And we all get pretty good reviews across the review sites. You know, otherwise there wouldn't be successful CRM systems. And price-wise, we're one of the more competitive probably, certainly in our professional version, which is what I'm going to show you today and what we recommend for Unleashed customers, because of all the functionality around the integration. You know, it's a pretty competitive system, price-wise per user per month. The key differentiator though is when you look into the customer bases, and we can do this from the reviews because they all list, everybody does a review list where they're, what type of industry they're in. And when you look at, as I say, these three in particular, but any other CRM system pretty much, they've all been built predominantly for service-based industries because they were the early adopters and the predominant users of CRM systems. I mean, actually, businesses like yours in physical, you know, stocking physical and selling physical products were a little bit later to the CRM game, and consequently have had to try and bend service-based CRM systems. And it's why, you know, there's always a struggle in adoption and usage, and, you know, there's a real danger that these systems, if you put them in to your type of business, can end up being a sort of a name, address, and notepad system and not much more than that really. And so you'll see as we go through, I'm going to do a demonstration, the functionality that we've got, and therefore the customer base that we have is really quite different to the other CRM systems. You know, we focus on the wholesale, people that sell physical products, perhaps to the construction industry or electrical or food production or anybody selling products basically. And it's quite a gnarly problem, you know, to overcome because there's different pricing, you know, for different customers, and there's a much more repeat element in the business than you might get selling a you know, a consultancy project that's going to last for the next 5 years for £100,000 is very different to selling physical products week in, week out to the same customers quite often. And so that's where we've differentiated. And you'll see this in our both in our marketing and in our system. And we look at what we call the growth formula for businesses exactly like yours, where to grow a wholesale or distribution type business selling products, there's two elements really. You need quite often, you know, more new customers. And so we focus heavily on marketing and integration to things like, you know, MailChimp and so on for marketing and bringing customers in. And you can put you know, we can generate a web form for you to put on your website that will feed people straight into the CRM system. And then for my existing customers, and this is the critical bit, I want to increase the customer lifetime value. And that is what will achieve sales and hopefully profitable growth for me. And so increasing the customer, well, let's start with more customers first. So if we look at that kind of funnel that's pictured there in a bit more detail, and I'm sure you'll have all seen this funnel of doing business a million times in, you know, business webinars and what have you, and people have it in all sorts of different ways. But effectively, it's a funnel where I'm going to do some marketing, be it go to an exhibition, do some telemarketing, send an e-shot out, whatever my marketing is to fill that funnel to attract potential new customers at the top. And hopefully I get some quality leads, some inquiries out of that. And then we'll qualify those inquiries and turn them into actual opportunities, or maybe straight to quotations in a product business quite often. But it's my selling process is the next bit. And then hopefully we close some of those opportunities or get those quotes approved, and they turn into the first order from a customer. Now, depending on your products, that process that we've got there to first order can actually be a loss-making exercise in some businesses that we deal with. So, I mean, if you imagine, in fact, I'm going to use a fictitious company that is the Unleashed demonstration data of a company called, you might have come across it, called That's My Jam, they call it. It's the Unleashed demonstration data, and that's what we've got in this CRM that I'm going to use today. It's a fictitious company who sell jam and jam jars and jam ingredients and so on, and jam making equipment. Well, if you imagine, you know, I find a new restaurant that might want to stock our jam, and I send them some samples, perhaps in the sales process, not unusual in a product-based business. And then I get a first order where they're going to try a few jars. And so they order 2 or 3 jars. Well, all my sales effort, my samples, the marketing spend, and so on and so forth, is not covered by them buying 2 or 3 jars of jam. And so it's really critical that not only do they place that first order, but I then focus on them as a potential new recurring customer and make sure I onboard them to get them into my flywheel of doing repeat business, where I can focus on the higher customer lifetime value by increasing the average order value, selling more of my products to more of my customers, increasing the order frequency by looking at the pattern of ordering that they have with me and making sure that there aren't any holes in that pattern, that they don't extend, you know, if a competitor got in there or if they forgot to order 1 week or whatever it is, and by retaining them for longer. And so that's, you know, that comes down to good service. And making sure I'm, you know, supplying with the right products at the right times. And so that's really what our system is designed to do, all of that funnel, but then critically into the flywheel, and a real focus on making that flywheel, you know, spin as fast as possible, basically, for sales growth. And so the way we do that, and should you ultimately buy our system, you'll, with our onboarding team and the flight pass that we sell, they'll go through with you what we call the growth playbook. And so each of those elements that we've just looked at, attract, sell, close in more customers, and onboard, order value, order frequency, and retention, have pillars of things that you can do in your business using our CRM system to increase the effectiveness of each of those elements. So I'm not going to go through all of it now, but this is the nuts and bolts of how we're going to help you grow your business and increase your sales using some of the tools that we have in our system that are looking and manipulating the data that we're getting from our integration with your Unleashed. And so you can actually, if you go to our prospectsoft.scoreapp.com, you can take a benchmarking quiz for each of these elements to see where you are with your business at the moment. Obviously, it needs honest answers, and then it'll give you some benchmarking, and it might help you ultimately decide where you want to focus, where your biggest gains could be in each of these elements, and kind of rank what you're going to attack first. Because, you know, you don't want to be trying to do all of these things for all of these elements on day one. But a large part, and you'll see on several of these tiles that we're going to use what's called the RFM data and the RFM grid and so on. And so the RFM, if you've been across our website, you might have seen already, it's not our invention. It's a wholesale and distributor business tool. It stands for recency, frequency, and monetary value. And it's a way of ranking your customers using a little bit of AI and some algorithms, comparing customers' sales actions, so how they're buying from you, to each other. And actually, if you take a free trial with us, we'll do that RFM calculation for you and present your customer base in this format to you by ranking them against each other, all of your customers. And so you get your champions who bought recently, buy most often, and spend the most. They're your best customers, they're your champions, and so on down into the more worrying ones about to sleep, can't lose them. They used to be a big customer, haven't purchased for a while. And so by comparing the sales history that we get from Unleashed and bring into the CRM, we can give you all of this ranking. And there's loads of information online, both on our website and elsewhere, about RFM and the actions that you should take for each customer in each of these categories. We then add in new customers, which is that onboarding section. And actually, we've seen by looking across our customer base that typically in a wholesale or distributor business, once a customer has placed 4 orders with you, they become more than 50% likely to place the 5th and 6th order. They become a regular customer. So we actually hold customers in this new customer category up until they've placed 4 orders with you. And then they'll move into the correct category based on those purchases that they've made, so that you can give them a bit of extra love and make sure that they become that's that onboarding section, so that they go into the flywheel and become a regular repeat customer. But yes, it's less likely that they'll place another order up to 4 orders unless you're giving them a bit of extra love. And so, yeah, we've got a lot of information on RFM on our website, but as I say, you can search the web. So that's one of the tools we're going to look at in a second. As I say, you'll even get all of this intelligence on a free trial if you take a free trial with us. And I'll talk a little bit more about the free trials at the end. So what is integrated? It's two-way integration, full two-way integration with Unleashed that we have. So, from Unleashed, we're bringing in the currencies, taxes, warehouses, customers, suppliers, products, pricing, historic orders, invoices, and credits. And we'll respect all of those things. We're building the full product list and all the pricing. And then you can create new customers from marketing records in the CRM into Unleashed. We actually sync the main data across a customer record between the two systems for you as well. You can create new products if you wanted to do that from the CRM. You can do quotes using the pricing for customers or potential customers. And then you can write those orders into Unleashed, and we do a whole load of analysis on the sales. So enough waffle and slides. Let's jump into the That's My Jam system and have a look at some of this data in action. And so what we've got here is a main account manager dashboard, and you can split this down by account manager if you've got different account managers set up, so that each account manager can look at their customer base and their alerts and trends and so on and so forth in isolation to the rest of your customer base. And we've got some other information on the orders that have come in so far this month compared to last month. This is demo data, I should say, obviously from Unleashed, and the 12 months of orders. So if I have a look at, well, let's go into our champions and have a look at our champion customers. So it gives me a list of those, and I can pick one of those, tells me when they first ordered, when their last order, and how many orders they've had from us. So if I go to Bamboo Box, I get an activity history, and this will include conversations and notes if the CRM system is being used by your salespeople. I've got their name and their website and phone number and so on, and some categorization on them that you can use. I know they're a champion. I can see that they're an increasing customer. They're spending more with me. So this is a rolling year on year. So the last 365 days compared to the previous. So it rolls forward year back from today compared to the previous year. So they've increased their spend with me. And so far this calendar year, 2023, they've spent 138K with me. Then I've got some links to Google Maps for directions and so on and so forth, and various other bits of information. We'll come back to the Magic Matrix a little bit later on, but this tells me what they're buying from me, which of my categories. So we've got a fair bit of information there. And then we've got additional information on pages down the side here. And I'll cover some of these later, but you can see we've got a link to Unleashed. And so I could open that record in Unleashed, and that'll open the customer for me in Unleashed. I can look at my aged receivables report. I'm not actually connected, but you can connect to your Xero or your QuickBooks, depending on which one you're using, and you'll see your aged receivables report out of that system for this customer. Then I get a full list of transactions that we've had for this customer. And so this is a line item transaction and showing me the stage in Unleashed it's at. So this line here, for example, they've ordered 10, but we haven't delivered or invoiced them yet, whereas we have delivered that line. Yeah, and so there's loads of information, and I can do a search on this. So, you know, if I wanted to search for all the blueberry things that they bought, I can filter it by just hitting blue, and it shows me anything with blue in it. But it's a big long list of everything they've ever bought. And so it has some use if I'm looking at the recent orders to see whether we've shipped it or not. But we then do some analysis on this. And so the analysis we're showing is what is the invoicing pattern and what is the ordering pattern. So these are individual orders. And if I do a see more, I can actually see a list of the orders. So that gives me a bit of a picture as an account manager of what's going on with this customer and when they're ordering and when they're not. You know, and I can zoom in on the graph. It looks like they placed some pretty big orders more recently. So I can zoom in and have a look at those orders and see what kind of level they were at. And then down here, I've got a picture of what are they buying. So these are the orders, but by value, what do they spend the most on? And this customer must absolutely love our appetizing apricot jam, because 99.2% of their spend is on that jam. Now, it would appear that there's a really good opportunity there for me to sell some more different jams to them because they're not spending very much at all on the other jams. And it's interesting that they do buy some, but compared to appetizing apricot, and yeah, and it might be that they're making something that needs our apricot jam in it, but you can see they've spent £137,000 almost on the apricot jam and only £790 on our blueberry jam. So, you know, on the face of it, there's got to be an opportunity there, hasn't there? And then I can see what is happening with the different product groups that we sell. So at the moment, they are unaware that we sell multi-packs, jam making equipment, some limited flavors, and some other slime categories there. We have made them aware through marketing, though, that we sell jam jars and some large jam making equipment. We're not working on any live opportunities for any of these categories, and they have bought lots of finished jam and some ingredients from us, as we can see here. And so this will come into play a little bit later on when I show you the full Magic Matrix and how you make that work for you to try and increase the average order value and populate more of my products into more of my customers. So that's a customer. We also bring across any contacts that we've got. And so we've got a Danielle Smith here, and you can see that I'm now on her record and I've got her details and her email address. And I can see any historic information here in the notepad for her particularly. We sent a quote a little while ago and so on and so forth, lots of conversations that have gone on. I can see if we're working on any opportunities, and I can see actually there's an inquiry outstanding for some jam making equipment there that's been worked on. And we went ahead and she ordered a new stock of jam products. Any problems that she's had? She had a damage on delivery, unfortunately in February, but that's been now resolved and completed. And so a lot of information about Danielle. This is all repeated, actually. If I just go back up to the company, I can see any problems with anybody there and any opportunities with anybody there. So you get a full picture at the company level and then a much more detailed view on Danielle's level. So there's various things that I can do from Danielle's record. I can, for example, log a new opportunity. So if she called me and said, we might be interested in some of that jam making equipment, I could log a new opportunity. I could choose what it was for, give it a description, put it in my sales pipeline. So this is perhaps some repeat business with her, and then you set the workflow that you're going to go through for each of these pipelines. So you can set up a full pipeline and workflow that your sales guys will follow. Or if she was just ringing up and saying, I am interested in some of that blueberry jam, could you send me a quote? I can just create a quick quote here. And so we'll say it's a blueberry jam quote. And we'll do a quote for her. So it's from John Smith, is the salesperson. We'll say that it came in by me because I gave her a call. And sorry, the status. Yeah, just got a 1 and a 2 then. Okay, so we've got a quote, and now what I need to do is put some lines on this quote. This incidentally could have been an order. I didn't need to do a quote. If she just wanted to order something, I can just put an order straight through as well. And there's a few ways you can get products on this quote. I can either just start searching by typing, blue, and then pick the blissful blueberry jam. You can see, we're bringing across everything from Unleashed on that. And so let's put, I don't know, let's put 20 of those on. If she'd sent me a list of things that she wanted, I could drag and drop that from Excel or a CSV into here, and providing I've got the SKU and the quantity, it'll just build the quote or the order for me. I can also do a more extensive search. So I could do a search, for all of our anything with jam in the title, and then I can add multiple lines. So I could say 3 of those, 5 of those, 6 of those, etc. If Danielle was saying, I can't remember what I normally buy from you, can you tell me what I bought last time? I can go to her recently purchased, not surprising, a lot of apricot jam, and I can tell her exactly what she bought and when she last bought it, and add that to her order. Or if she said, perhaps she was a retail shop and said, what's popular at the moment? What should I stock? I can go through what's popular, and this looks across my whole customer base and tells me what's being, what the most is being ordered. So there's quite a few ways to get new lines onto this order. I can even create a new product. These are choices that you make in your setup, whether you want the ability for products to be created. And so you create a product just in the CRM, and if that order is converted into an order in Unleashed, we'll then create the product in Unleashed as well for you to write it on. You can create just a description line as well. Other things we can do. So let's say that she's going to buy some jam making equipment as well. So one of these retro jam makers. Actually, this is quite interesting to show you that you can link products together and offer them as upsell. So this, actually that's out of stock, but this is a potential upgrade and saying, look, rather than that retro, we now sell an automatic jam and jelly maker that's much better than that. And so I could upgrade to that item. You can also do a cross sell. So if you're buying that, you might want our labels to go with it. So why don't we add those to the order as well? And so now I've got the automatic jelly maker that was more expensive, and I've got the labels to go with it that I've encouraged her to buy, although they seem to be free for whatever reason. So let's say they are 50p. Okay. Then if I'm going to send this quote, again, I've got a few choices. I can actually group these lines. So if I wanted to group them, I could make the Blissful Blueberry a group and show that in a separate item and give it a title. And then I can put the jam making equipment in a separate group with a subtotal. So you get quite a lot of control over how this quote is going to look when you generate it. And of course, we could either email directly to Danielle, and you can set up your templates. So I've got an email cover here for a simple PDF quote. And that creates a PDF quote, attach it to the email, and we'll generate it. I'll actually generate a document so I can show you the PDF quote. So if I just go to our standard templates and we'll do a quote document and create. And the way that you can set these up, so our as you saw there, our editor is Word, so you create the document in Microsoft Word. Obviously, you can then turn it into a PDF and send it. You can include the pictures if you want to or not. You can choose the column widths, the fonts, whether you're showing totals and so on and so forth. And you can create this with a approve and decline button. And you can also have those on the email. So when Michelle receives this, if she were to go ahead and click the approve, it'll take her to a web page that you can brand. So that's my jam, and she can approve it with her purchase order, and that will put it straight through to Unleashed for you. So there's a lot of flexibility, I guess, is what I'm saying in terms of these documents. I could edit that document as well, simply to say, hi, Michelle, following our conversation. It is just in Word. So that document now gets saved on the Documents tab as the document that we sent to her. And if Michelle were to click that button, or if I call her back and chase this up, if she gives me her order number, then I can choose how it's going to go through. So by default, it's going to go through as a parked order, but you can choose whether it goes back order or placed, straight to placed. And if I click confirm, it'll write that order through dynamically immediately to her Unleashed account, and it'll be sitting in Unleashed now. It'll come back with the order number in a second, ready to be processed for picking and shipping and ultimately invoicing. So let's just let that go through, and there's the order number that's been created in Unleashed, and you can open it in Unleashed and go and deal with it if you wanted to. But yeah, it's as simple as that to write a new order through. So we mentioned products. If I just go to one of these products, so if I click on the SKU, it'll take me to our copy of the record for Blissful Blueberry Jam. And again, I can't edit any of these because the master record is in Unleashed, but we can see the quantities available. If you use bills of materials, we can tell you the buildable quantity by looking through the BOM. We can look at the sales transactions. So who's been buying it and how many, and have they been shipped and so on. And there's that order that I've just put through a minute ago. We can have a look at the analysis. So it tells me who is my best customer for this product and what have they been spending. And then it also gives me some seasonality. So is there a particular time of year, which seems to be November, when we sell a lot of this? And so you can try and, build that into your stock planning as well by looking at the seasonality on a product, or perhaps your sales planning to make sure that we get as much as possible. And we see the stock levels by warehouse from Unleashed, that we bring through so that you know exactly what you can be selling and what you can't. So there's a few minutes left. The final thing that I'll, there's two things I want to show you. I'll just quickly go back to Danielle's record, and we'll say this time that she's received those jams, but a couple of them were broken. And so here's where you can do some service ticketing and where we could log a damage on delivery. So she had some broken jars. She called me about them, and this is a delivery issue. And then I can put it into the pipeline delivery issues, and it's a new issue at the moment. You can actually do your product returns through here. So quite a few people use this for their product returns, and then have the stages of product returns. And the unique ID that you get for each service ticket or problem log is your returns number. And then you can manage this. And as you can see at this status, it requires a follow-up. So I have to set a to-do so that somebody is going to follow up on this. And it would then go onto my to-do list with all the other things that are going on here for me. So it's a fairly simple problem logging and tracking, and I can store documents. I should mention that the whole system is a responsive web app. So if you use it on a telephone or a tablet, it'll change its and pin it as an app. You'll lose the browser, and it changes into an app basically, where you've got the buttons at the bottom now and a pop-up menu that you can hit with your fingers. And on a problem, for example, if I were to say I want to create a document on my phone and say upload a photograph, it'll open the camera and I can take a picture of the damaged stuff at the customer's warehouse, and it'll store that picture against the record in the CRM system for me. So it's fully responsive as a dynamic web app. So let me just quickly set this for myself tomorrow and say, call Danny about that. So that'll come up on my to-do list now for tomorrow. And obviously that all goes into the notepad as well. So let me finish on the dashboards and just run around the other dashboards. So we looked at the RFM analysis and the kind of things I can do with that. We also, using AI, look at the customer's profile in terms of their ordering pattern and predict when they should be placing the next order based on their ordering pattern. And so these guys have come up as alerts because they should have placed an order by now. So by the 29th of May, the Beer Emporium, based on their history, should have placed a £400 order with me. And each account manager can look at their own. And you can go in to see more, and you can see that based on their average order, days between orders, and the outliers, so if they've placed orders quicker than that and longer than that, we take a view using AI and give you an alert date by which, if they haven't placed an order, you definitely should call them, because it's now stepping outside their normal program of placing orders with you. And it's incredible. Again, we'll do this calculation for you if you take a free trial, and you'll get this RFM analysis. I've had so many people on free trials say, the one thing I did was ring all those people, and I was absolutely amazed at how many orders I managed to get in. It's surprisingly accurate. We then give you a picture of your customers, who's growing and who's declining. And so if I look at my growing customers, as an account manager, they might be people I can get some, if it's coming to the end of the month, because they're increasing their spend with me year on year, I might be able to get a few extra orders out of them. And then obviously I do also want to look at my declining customers and see whether perhaps a competitor's got in there, or the buyer has changed, or they had a bad experience with the last order from me that I could overcome and get them to order again. So all of this is intelligence based on your Unleashed information. This is based on CRM information, which tells me these are people I should be speaking to. We haven't had an active engagement with them in a little while. And so, there's a danger of them slipping down through the RFM categories unless I make sure I get engaged with them. I can look at any open problems that are in the works at the moment. And there's that damage on delivery. We had a late delivery. We had some missing items. And I can go and have a look at each of those and see who they were for and what's going on with them. Or just get to see more and get a bigger picture, including the customer's name and so on. And then we've got a close rate here. How have we been doing with quotes and opportunities that are outstanding in terms of placing the orders? And so we've got a jam supply project there that we won, and some orders that have been placed from quotes. So quite a lot of information on that dashboard. I did say that I'd talk about the Magic Matrix, and my final thing to show you is our Magic Matrix dashboard. And so this is based on product categories. Now, we start by using your Unleashed product categories, but you can actually reconfigure the categories to be specific for the Magic Matrix. It's simply a starting point is your Unleashed categories. They may or may not be right. We're not going to change any Unleashed categories, but you can configure specific Magic Matrix categories to analyze my sales. So you can see for jam jars, we actually are not doing particularly well in terms of the penetration into our customer base. I've got 17 customers who don't even know that we sell them. I've got 20 that we've marketed to but haven't bought them. One where we're working on an opportunity for them to buy our jam jars. And I've only got 2 customers that have actually bought my jam jars. So I might want to do something about that. And the way to do that is to open the actual Magic Matrix. And again, this isn't our idea, it's a Harvard Business School idea, actually, of plotting. I mean, they say products against customers, and you try and get a cross or a green dot, in our case, in every spot to say that all of my customers buy all of my different product categories, in our case. So I can see that some that are aware. So Anita's Cafe is aware that we sell jam jars through a telemarketing campaign that we ran last year, but she has not bought them. However, she has bought our jam making equipment. And so I can see here that she's bought our jam making equipment. We've got an opportunity here, but they haven't bought yet for jam jars. So I could perhaps go and chase that up by having a look at this opportunity for a new set of new jam kit to them that's in the sales process at the moment. But the real usefulness here is if I want to start building an awareness. And so this is where I can choose a category. So we said jam jars, didn't we, that we're not doing particularly well with. So, and it looked like I've only run a campaign about a year ago. So I'm going to do a specific awareness campaign on jam jars. It'll be for all my account managers. I'm going to choose the people most likely to respond. So I'll go for everything down to promising. You could do specific build awareness campaigns with other categories for a particular reason. So I've got 23 customers in my list. 7 of those actually I don't have contacts from Unleashed, so I might want to go and do a bit of work on that. And I'm going to hit everybody who is unaware or aware. So if they've been in a marketing campaign before, that's fine. And then I can add them to a campaign. So I can create a new campaign activity for perhaps an e-shot on jam jars. And we'll put it to, what have we got here? Let's have a look. Magic, have we got a jam? Yeah, so let's do that one. This is going to be an e-shot. It's not going to cost us anything, and it's going to run for the next few weeks. So 0 cost in this case. And so that will add all of those people to that campaign. And so now I can go and have a look at the campaign. And here I've got an e-shot on jam jars, and my targets are those people that we identified are either currently unaware or aware but haven't bought. And so now with my integration to MailChimp, I can fire that list tagged straight through to MailChimp, and then I'll get all the information back into the CRM against them and against this campaign of who opened the email, who clicked on a link in the email, who unsubscribed, and so on and so forth. So all of that is managed in the CRM, so I can then do a follow-up campaign for those that perhaps clicked on the special offer that I put in the e-shot. So you can see how all of the things that we've got in our system are designed to try and help you increase your sales through the various tools. And a lot of it is relying on the intelligence from the Unleashed data that you've already got. So hopefully that's given you a pretty good insight. In terms of next steps, obviously I'm going to try and encourage you to take a free trial. I mean, it's free. It's a 14-day free trial. you connect it to your Unleashed, you'll get all of that information. And even if you use it for the next 14 days to get a few extra orders in, you know, why not? You can either do that through our website, or actually, if you go into your Unleashed and go to the integration page and look at the integration store and pick Prospect, you can take a free trial directly from there. And that'll pass through your API keys and so on into the system and all your user details, and just set you up a free trial and integrate it immediately. So yeah, I mean, it's a free trial, so kind of why wouldn't you? But yeah, I think you'll find it useful. Hopefully what you've seen has whetted your appetite to have a look at our CRM in a bit more detail. There's obviously much more that it can do and does do in terms of, one of the things I mentioned was the inquiry form on your website that I haven't shown you, but you know, there's all sorts of articles on that. If you take a free trial, we'll get in contact with you and organize, you know, a short meeting with you to actually run through the system in a bit more detail with your data in it. So yeah, certainly I'd encourage you to take a free trial. I think we've got a lot of questions come through.
We do, yeah. Thank you, Stuart.
So let me put my camera back on as well so that we can. Okay.
A couple of them were sort of pre-registration questions, which I think you've answered, which is sort of just seeing examples of how Prospect uses the data from Unleashed. Jason said they're using HubSpot at the moment, just wanted to see a CRM that works with Unleashed more hand in hand.
Sure.
Some that have come through live. So Catherine, thank you for your questions here. So if you use a parent company and sub companies, can there be different currencies in the sub companies? So at the moment they have to duplicate a contact in Unleashed to get dollars and pounds for the same customers. So, and how does it interact with Unleashed?
Yes, unfortunately, that is a restriction of Unleashed, that you can only have one currency on one customer. We do slightly better in as much as, so if I just if I look for a company in this system, I'm not sure that we've got any that have well, so if I go, you can see there's two Anita's cafes here, so it may be that we're selling to them in two currencies. So no, this is Anita Cafe. So what I can do, so at the moment in Unleashed, as you say, if you're selling to them in dollars sometimes and pounds other times, you'll have to have two records. And so we will bring in two records here, and we'll know that one is a dollar account and one is a pound account. What you can do is join them together though. So I can convert this into a company group. So if I do that, this is now a top level CRM only record that at the moment has one company in it, which is Anita's Cafe. If I just go back and go to the other Anita's Cafe, I can now change the parent on this one and join it into the same group. I know it's not absolutely ideal, and unfortunately we can't get round the fact that Unleashed will only allow one currency for one customer. But what we have been able to do at least is group them together. So they're now both under Anita's Cafe, and you might call one, you know, dollar account and one pound account. And you just kind of have to have the discipline maybe of only putting the contacts under one. Actually, from this top level, I can see all the contacts that were under any of them. So as it happens, there's only one under either of them. But it's a slightly neater way of doing it. But yes, unfortunately, there's not very much we can do about creating multiple currencies on a single account. Hopefully that makes it a bit easier to manage than it might be at the moment. And because we've grouped them together, you can actually then look at the sales history as a whole, because we know that they're under the same group in the CRM system.
Just a couple more here. So
yeah,
we've got can the CRM measure the customer's performance, like basket size, basket value? That's one.
Sorry, say that one again. Which one was? Who was this from?
This is Roberto.
Oh, right. Oh, can the CRM measure the customer's performance like basket size, basket value? Can the system services the customer not buy something? Yes, absolutely. I mean, certainly not buying products anymore is something you can do. The magic matrix actually has a date range on it, so you can say if they haven't bought it for a year, put them back to, you know, unaware or aware or something, so that they appear in the magic matrix. But we do have a whole load of reports on things like customers that have specifically bought X but not Y, or just customers that have not bought X, and you could put a date range on that. So customers that haven't bought X in the last 6 months. So yeah, I mean, we've got all manner of reports against the kind of data that you've got in Unleashed to hopefully try and get you that, you know, that kind of information.
Another part of this question was around alerts around, you know, missing orders, and I think we addressed with the missing order alerts.
Yes, the missing order alert is
yeah.
over here. Yeah, absolutely.
So then we've got.
I see is there an app for mobiles? Hopefully I've covered that for you in terms of it's a responsive web app that you can just pin, and it basically works exactly like an app then. Can the CRM take track of the daily missing products or fulfilling rate? I mean, it can. It would probably require you to write or us to write you a little report. And the report writer in here is pretty friendly, actually. So I think what you're saying is if they've ordered it, but we haven't delivered it, and perhaps with a you know, a date range on anything that's ordered more than 7 days ago that hasn't been delivered. So yeah, you could either filter this report to show me that, and you can literally filter on any of the fields or data that we've got in the system. I mean, there's literally every single thing that you can imagine there to filter by. So yeah, I would say you could definitely come up with that kind of report quite easily for you. As a distributor-led business, can we add sales leads, third parties to particular customer accounts in order to log and maintain contact details, but also follow up on each of those leads to see how they're progressing? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The sales leads in our case are opportunities. So you can log an opportunity. You can actually log an inquiry or an opportunity, and this is where you'd create your inquiry form for the website as well. But yeah, opportunities can be as far ahead as you like, or you can link in multiple people to them. So I mean, we got quite a few customers that supply the construction industry. So they may well be selling tiles ultimately to a tiling contractor, but actually they start with the interior designer, and that's where the opportunity would start. And then they start linking in different tiling contractors as they give quotes to them, but they know it's only one opportunity, and that ultimately there will be a successful tiling contractor that buys the tiles from them. So that sort of thing is possible with. It's all to do with what we call our relationships. So you set up types of relationships, and then you can relate different records in to an opportunity or whatever. But I'd say take a free trial, and we'll set some of that up and show you.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Does it put in quotes from Unleashed? So no, our quote engine is so much more powerful than the Unleashed quote engine that typically we replace, well, in every case, we replace the Unleashed quotes. So you stop using Unleashed quotes basically and use the Prospect CRM quotes. There's so much more reporting and so much more flexibility, both in the documents and the, you know, all those upsell ideas and all those sort of things that, yeah, we'd replace them. If you mean outstanding quote, when you first start with the CRM system, would we put in outstanding quotes? Depending on how many you've got, we could either create an import for them to bring them in, or typically I think we use them as a sort of training exercise to do those quotes, you know, repeat them in the CRM system so you're ready to go. Yeah, so it's not fully clear to me if the system can send alert if a customer is not ordering a particular product. So it's not, I mean, for alerts, there are some things the system does where it could email the customer, or you can set up alerts against yourself. So in my profile, there's various notifications that you can set up against things in the system. So for missing orders and so on, and new customers and those sort of things, you can do. For very specific things where you're talking about a product and a type of customer or whatever, you can set up the alerts. Typically, we use a tool called Zapier to do that. So I have quite a few alerts on our system that tell me various things that are going on in the system by dropping me an email with a link in the email to the record in the CRM system. So again, I'd say sign up for a trial, and then we'll be in contact and let's talk through those scenarios and see what we can organize for you. Catherine's also said, can the numeric format be used for the opportunity numbers? Yeah, I mean, actually, opportunities do get an alphanumeric number assigned in the system. But if you were using, and we can set where that starts for you in a new system, if you're following on, from an existing opportunity format. But you could put alphanumeric in the description, and certainly the description is one of the searchable fields. But yes, I mean, they do get a unique identification, and that can be merged onto quotes as an opportunity or project ID. But yeah. Okay. As a company that sells both hardware and software, what's the best way to track customer software licensing? So I think probably we should take that offline, because obviously it's something we do. And so there are some tools that we have in the system that can manage that. I mean, it is a system designed for selling physical products, but yeah, there definitely are some things we can do in terms of licensing and dates. I guess it just depends what the periods are and so on that you're using, but I'd say we'd probably take that offline, have a deeper discussion about that. Okay, so where are we time-wise? I think we're pretty much bang on. 3 minutes to go. So thank you very much, everybody, for your attendance and for your questions and involvement. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you've been able to see exactly why we share so many customers with Unleashed. It basically is the CRM that goes with Unleashed, and everything we do is designed for exactly your type of business. And there's so many tools in there that should help you increase your sales and profit. So thank you for your time. And as I say, we'll be sending out a link to this recording. So anybody that you feel would benefit from having a look, by all means, send it on to them. And I look forward to speaking to you once you've set up your free trials.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Take care.